Well, there you have it. The Lions up and running here in Australia. Welcome in to what was my position, the TalkSport, well, I suppose commentary position. I was hosting from in here, and they're now washing down the pitch and getting it all sorted back for the Aussie rules. Welcome back to the channel. I've tried to get my head straight and thoughts on the games. It's going to probably be a little bit rough and ready. But I need to get off and do some other bits and bobs as well. So welcome back. Comment down below, what did you make of the Lions' performance against the Western Force? Are you happy? Are you concerned? Let me know. And if you're enjoying the updates from Australia, which I hope you are, then make sure you hit subscribe and like the video and do all that jazz. So, I suppose my general thoughts on the game were, it is the building blocks towards where the Lions want to get to. In that, I think there was obvious progression from last week. I think that's a natural progression when you get on tour, and therefore it's not absolutely perfect yet. I don't think we'd expect it to be. Certainly still a few things that you'll be concerned about, which I'm going to get onto. But I thought overall, the Lions did a pretty good job. And I think it is part of the process on the tour that it can take time. Often we want to see them as the finished product from week one, don't you? But I think overall, Andy Farrell, that group of players, I think they'll be glad to have won. I think they will be glad to have done it fairly comprehensively. And I think they will be pretty pleased to have got through the pressure that they were put under. Even though the Western Force didn't score much in terms of points, they had loads of the ball in that first half. A lot more territory as well. And the Lions weren't amazing in all areas of the game, but they were able to get themselves through it. They were able to get the win, and they were able to get the job done. So I think from that point of view, it's a positive for the Lions. Generally speaking, for the Lions, generally speaking, it's a positive. Let me get on to the good then, and let's just rattle off some of the concerns, shall we? I think the biggest one from this game is restarts, which is a funny one. They were not good at collecting restarts. It put them under all sorts of pressure. I suppose the good thing from that is I think that is quite coachable and I think it's a relatively easy fix. Interestingly, just speaking to Ollie Chesham and Joe McCarthy in the mix zone, they weren't too concerned about it. Equally, I don't think they're going to turn around and say that it's a huge concern. But Ollie Chesham did say actually that it's an area of the game that's so important, and actually people almost don't realise quite how difficult it is, particularly with the way the laws are at the moment, that wingers can get up there and just tap the ball back. It actually makes it quite difficult. I think that's something that the Lions, from a coaching point of view, are going to be focusing on, but I also think they're going to feel that they're able to fix that. They are able to correct it. I do wonder, though, whether for Scott Cummings, whether he's going to be so disappointed. Did you see him when he came off the pitch? I don't know if it's on the TV cameras, just shaking his head, really, really disappointed. One performance doesn't drop you out of contention, but I think given the fact that Atoje's the captain, Joe McCarthy was the official player of the match here, I thought Chesham was good off the bench. In terms of that pecking order for the test team, I wonder whether he's kind of there at the moment thinking, that's a real missed opportunity. So restarts, I think, are a big concern. I also thought aerially, at some points in the game, that the Lions weren't amazing in the kicking game again. I don't think they were quite as poor as they were against Argentina, but I still don't think they'll be completely happy with that. And then defensively, so this is a weird one, right? They've turned the scoreboards off now, but given how few points the Lions conceded, is it fair for defence to be a concern? Because the Western Force actually didn't score many points. Admittedly, they were kicking to the corner on a couple of occasions when they were banging in front of the post in the first half. How much concern should the defence be? Because they didn't concede that many points here, but I think there was still some pretty obvious lapses. And again, I think that is just teething problems. I think it's players that haven't played together. I think that will improve. You can kind of see the shape there, but then it can be kind of undone just like that. So I don't think it necessarily needs to be a huge concern at this point, but it's certainly something that they need to work on. The other concern actually is personnel. Thomas Williams. No update yet, obviously. Looks like he possibly has tweaked a hamstring. Really feel for him because I thought he was having a great game. He'd just scored a try. So we'll see what happens there. Always part of the brutal part of a Lions tour that it always happens to a few guys, doesn't it? I hope he's okay. Even if he's not, is it going to be something that keeps him out for a couple of games and then all of a sudden he's not playing as much as Gibson Park, who we expect to come back in, Alex Mitchell, who featured again here. So I hope Thomas Williams is okay. He's been in such good form for Gloucester, and he was really playing well here. Played well off the bench against Argentina, so fingers crossed there. All right, what about the good from the Lions? Because I think that outweighs it. I thought there were a lot of strong performances. I've mentioned Joe McCarthy already. I really feel like we are building towards a big-bodied second row alongside Mauro Itoje for the test matches. Itoje, I think, starts as captain. And then I think it could be like a Joe McCarthy in the second row and then either a Chesham or a Byrne at 6, particularly when you consider that Wallabies pack. If they are going to have Taniela Tupu and Will Skelton in there, you're going to need possibly a big, beefy second row, which I think is the way they're going. I thought he was good. I thought Chesham was good off the bench. And actually a guy that Andy Farrell name-checked in his press conference, he said the best player on that pitch by an absolute mile was Mac Hansen. Said his work rate, his desire, getting back and forth, covering kicks in the backfield, getting off his wing was everything you want from a player. Andy Farrell very, very impressed by Mac Hansen, who also got a lot of plaudits against Argentina when he came off the bench. So I think he's looking in a pretty strong position here. Across the team, though, I thought there were quite a lot of good performances. I mean, we'll talk about Henry Pollock again. He got a yellow card, although that was kind of more accumulation of team penalties in the 22, wasn't it? Rather than his own discipline. He's just a bundle of energy. And he has such confidence. He's always trying things, asks so many questions of the opposition, such a nuisance, that I thought you really saw the good of Henry Pollock there. And I don't know whether Pollock is playing for the bench spot with Ben Earl. To me, it's hard to say because we haven't seen a huge amount of Jack Conan. I almost felt like for Conan being the out-and-out number 8, are we going to see him start the test series? And then you've got Pollock or Earl as your bench options who can cover the whole of the back row, plus have a real level of dynamism that gives you energy off the bench as well. But maybe it's a little bit more up for debate. And if so, Henry Pollock with a very good performance. Very good performance. Wasn't perfect, but overall, you've just got to love watching him, haven't you? Like, it's kind of infectious, I think. Final thing I want to mention on the Lions is the attack. So Andy Farrell, after Argentina, complained about the offloads and them forcing it. Here, they had 23 offloads. They're clearly trying to play and being pretty expansive, like actually quite a more fluid, quite ambitious attacking plan from the Lions, which I didn't necessarily expect. 23 offloads is a lot, and you can see it so often. If they get their hands through contact, looking to offload the ball, led to a number of tries here. Clearly a Lions team that want that to be a part of their identity and attack. And I think Farrell, I think he said it in his press conference actually, they'll be happier with where they are in that regard, in terms of building that game. So those are my kind of initial thoughts. Maybe once I get to Brisbane, I'll try and do a video once I've had more time to process it. But what do you make of it? For me, this was the natural building blocks on a Lions tour. Wasn't great, particularly that first half. I thought at times the Lions looked sluggish. I thought they didn't look too great defensively. They almost looked quite tired at points. But the second half, they were a lot more accurate. They were a lot more clinical. They were more patient. They put more pressure on the Western Force, who, speaking to Nick White afterwards, he just kind of said, yeah, we absolutely just completely faded. So they're up and running. They're on to Brisbane. Queensland Reds will be a tougher test, but we will see what happens. Comment down below, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to see you in Brisbane. Nice one.